Girl Tribe Gaming. Podcast on. I said it. Podcast on.
Hello, you're listening to Girl Tribe Gaming, a podcast mostly about video games. I'm Zen.
And I'm Jen, and welcome to episode 33. Guess what? It's our 1-year podcasting anniversary!
Yay!
And who didn't even remember?
Yeah, I thought it was May. I didn't know it was
Yeah. No.
It started with M. I'm glad you said something, because if we would have recorded this and not mentioned it, I would have been so sad later.
Oh,
Out
no.
of all the people, I'm surprised, out of the two of us, and I'm surprised it was you.
Yeah,
I
that I
remember.
remember. Me too. I can't remember anything. I can't remember my real anniversary, but I can remember the podcast anniversary.
At least you have your priorities straight, right?
Yes. All right. But thank you guys so much for listening. And if you could do us a huge favor and head over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe to the podcast, that would be great. That helps us out so much. And if you want to be like super nice, you can leave us a review and give us a little star rating on iTunes. That would be great.
It helps more than you know. So any help, much appreciated. We would make the achievement unlocked sound in our heads now. Right now, I'm going to do it. Okay, I did it.
Yeah, me too.
So Zen, are you celebrating with a special beer tonight or anything?
I've gone to tequila, the dark side.
Ooh, I like me some tequila.
Me, a margarita, but it's the very end of the margarita, so it's like super like sour. Ugh.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I know you're not drinking, so what you been playing?
Well, yeah, I've drank like a whole bottle of water since we've been sitting here, so. You know what, Zen? I played yesterday Tales from the Borderlands episode 2. It's titled Atlas Mugged, and it's another Telltale game. Oh my goodness, I had so much fun.
Like, is it still like more of like a comedy, or what's happening? I didn't play the first episode. I'm not a huge Borderlands fan, so.
Well, it obviously carries on from where season 1 left off, and I can't tell the story because then it would be spoilers. But I will say this. It was hilarious. Like, I don't usually laugh during video game playing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like Saints Row, I'll laugh.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've heard you laughing in video games, but I get you.
Yeah, from the story.
Yeah.
I laughed a bit during Sunset Overdrive, but it had me laughing. Although at the very beginning, there's this scene, and I was kind of like queasy. I was like, ugh. And then you find out something I can't really say, and I was like, oh no. And I don't do that in a game. And I was like, oh man, I wish I could hit
funny,
the
oh no, like
it's one of those like, oops, uh-oh. I shouldn't have done that.
Okay, I got.
But still,
I see. I have no idea, but I've watched the trailer for the first episode, and it looked hilarious. Like, that could just be a fun game to play it and laugh at.
Yeah, it's a fun little game. And if you're a Borderlands fan, I mean, they totally capture the entire essence of the game. And occasionally you'll see a place you recognize, and you're like, oh. Just because you remember all the fun times you had playing the game. And every once in a while you'll see a character you might know. But even the characters you don't know, they did a great job of building those characters. They feel like real Borderlands characters, you know what I mean?
So I'm getting the drift. Since you like it, you would buy it.
Yes, I would. But I mean, obviously I subscribe to the whole season. But if you...
I'm not a Borderlands. I mean, like, I like their games, but I never was captured by them. What should I buy? Do you think I would still enjoy it, or do I have to have the background story of Borderlands?
I think anybody could enjoy it, but I don't like after playing this episode. you wouldn't get it as much just because they introduce a couple of characters from, you know, Borderlands 2 and 1. And, you wouldn't have the history, but it's still funny. Like, you'd still like it. But it wouldn't be at the same level, like, of laughing and stuff, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
But the one thing I'm still a little confused, like, they have little caches, like in the game where you can get loot and you get money. So I have money, and I actually got to spend a little bit of money, but I'm just like wondering, like, what
Maybe
am I...
like, when you go to like an arcade as a kid and they have those things where you have to go up and buy a prize that will just break on the way out. That's what if at the end of the game you're gonna like walk up to this booth and you can buy like a top or a pencil.
Well, I did buy something in the game, but my thought is, like, there were items I wanted, like better versions that I wanted to buy, and I didn't have enough money. But I'm like, well, the only way I'd be able to buy that is to come back into the game, but then I wouldn't have the money at the end. You know what I mean? You can't take the money back into episode 2, I don't think, if you finish the game. I don't know.
It doesn't seem like a big deal, though, with this type. The like looting this type of game doesn't seem that big of an
it's
issue.
all about the story, which it was hilarious. I totally recommend it. So good job, Telltale.
Yeah, they always.
When they announced that game, I just thought, I didn't think it was going to be that great. It's. I can't wait to play the next one.
Their games break up other games. Like when you need a break from just like, rushing around and shooting in Call of Duty like we do.
Yeah.
They're just nice games to take a break on.
Nice story.
Okay, so we don't like to... I have a hard time giving a number to a game, scoring it. But if we had to, give in between 1 and 10, 10 being like, awesome.
I would give it a 9. I'm not a fan of 10s because I always feel like there's more you can do. But yeah, I would say a 9. I liked it that much. If you're not a Borderlands fan, it might dial back just a hair to like an 8.5 because you might not get all the inside stuff,
I want to play it just so I can argue with you about it.
Oh, yeah. And now their website, it keeps track, Telltale Games' website keeps track of all your decisions. So, like if you like to do a spoiler cast episode, now we'll be able to just to go through and go over all our choices and discuss them. So,
that's my favorite part.
Yeah. So if you have played the Borderlands episode 2, feel free to tweet me at MotoGirl and at _MotoGirl and let me know what you thought, because I loved it. I just had so much fun.
Yeah.
But speaking of fun, another thing I did last night, Zen, is I watched I was a day late, but I watched the premiere of iZombie from
Me too.
the CW. Yeah. So
on Hulu, I didn't watch it. I watched a day late also on Hulu.
Yeah. So what did you think? Because so many people were telling me that looks stupid. That looks stupid, and I was like, I'm going to DVR it because I want to see what it's about.
Okay, so for people that don't know about iZombie, let's give a little background on it. It's a new show from the CW, and it's created by the creators of Veronica Mars, which I didn't watch.
Oh, you didn't watch Veronica Mars?
I think I watched like a few episodes, but you know me.
I will say that show is the best. I love that show. But yeah, Rob Thomas, he made Veronica Mars, and now he's doing this, and I didn't know it. It's based off that comic, Vertigo.
I didn't know it was off of a comic either. Now I want to go read the comic.
Yeah, I'd seen that comic before, and I thought it looked cool. Like, I just saw the cover. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But I don't buy comics because I'm afraid I'll collect everything. So I don't want to let myself buy any comics.
Too many rules. I'm going to buy them.
I can't. Maybe if I was working.
Yeah.
But
and the best part is it takes place in Seattle, which I was like, whenever I see Seattle, I'm like, yeah.
It's Moto. Yeah, I saw the Space Needle. I was like, oh, it takes place here. I know right where that's at. But did you want to talk about the basic premise? Or?
I think we should, just to give a background of just what they'll learn right in the first
5 minutes.
5 minutes of the show. So it follows a girl named Liz, and she's a heart surgeon, really successful, super smart, doesn't go out partying too much, ends up going out to a party, and it's really weird. It's like, then there's zombies, like any party.
Well, yeah.
And she gets bit and turns into a zombie, but not your normal type of zombie.
Yeah, that's one thing I really liked about the show. They made up front like their zombie rules. So, yeah,
She's
because
an everyday girl that happens to be a zombie and eats people's brains and gets visions.
yeah, and she gets visions from the people that she ate their brains. So
yeah.
it brings new meaning to you are who you eat.
yeah. So the show, it was like highs and lows for me.
Uh-huh.
Like in the beginning, I was like, this is awesome. And then it went down to like, this is just too cheesy for me.
Oh.
And then by the end of the show, I was like, I'm going to watch the next episode because I kind of like what they're doing here. It makes your stomach turn when she's eating the people's brains.
Oh my goodness. But she at least did it fancily. Like, it
chopsticks and noodles.
Yeah, she didn't just like like a zombie. She like, had to make it good, put some noodles and hot sauce.
But the little twist of like the zombie and like the troubles she's having are interesting. Like I've never seen a zombie like it, and I don't know. I'm hooked. By the end of the show, I was like, Now, did Kelly like it?
She did like it. I don't think she liked it as much as I did, but she did like it. And her and I are big Veronica Mars fans, so that's how I hooked her to watch it. I'm like, come on, you love Veronica Mars. And I did feel that Veronica Mars vibe in it. Like when she's, talking the narrative. And then I started getting a True Calling vibe. Did you ever see that show with had Eliza Dushku? The one from Dollhouse.
I can't remember. It sounds familiar, but I think I'm getting show scrambled.
Well, there was a show True Calling. I can't remember. I think it was only 2 seasons.
Oh, and she was like, yeah, I think I remember seeing an episode of her walking and like there's this plane that crashed.
I don't know.
And she was like getting like she could get like flat visions, right?
Yeah, she like worked in a morgue, I think also like this girl. And she would get visions of like the dead people's visions like the day before they died.
Yes.
And then she would help them like figure out who killed them or what happened to them. And it's kind of like this. So it was kind of like a heart surgeon, but then she turns into a zombie who eats brains nicely. And she's like also like a crime detective.
She's like a superhero.
I know. Well, and at first they make her like she's a sidekick, but then it really almost seems like the cop that she's working with, it's almost like he kind of turns into her sidekick.
Yes, that's the way I felt too. Like that's when the turning point happened for me, when she was like getting her zombie powers almost.
So basically this whole episode is turning into a zombie episode. Zen and
I'm okay with that.
We watched this movie. We're like, well, then, in one scene, they do a little product placement for Dying Light.
Oh, man. I saw that too, but I was like, cheesy, but
it's obvious as a gamer. I don't know. Do you think other people noticed it?
No, I don't think anybody else. I mean, if you don't play Dying Light, you didn't connect it. Unless they played the Dying Light logo. I didn't see that.
No, they didn't. It was just a real quick.
And you're playing that, right?
Exactly. I just started playing it. I honestly am not that far into it. But it's Dying Light is like this game where you're in an open world game and you are like working kind of undercover. You're like this guy and you're trying to get these documents from these people, but people are zombies. So they drop you down into this open world area that's all infected with zombies. You have like a mission, and along the way, you have all these other missions and side missions, and you learn to parkour. So you're like hopping and running and jumping. Like I could jump over zombies then.
Whoa.
And you can like make weapons out of stuff, but they're not.
So is it Dead Rising? Like what's the difference between this and is it Dead Rising?
To me, yeah, Dead Rising to me felt more arcade style, like more just smash and bash, and your weapons were real over the top, like chainsaws that you're like, you know what I mean, like these crazy concoctions. This it's more subdued. The weapons are a little more realistic, like you could add shock to a bat, you know what I mean, like it's not as far-fetched. And then your movements, it's mostly about your movements because you're going to avoid most of those zombies. And then you have a lot of melee weapons. There's not a lot of shooting and things like that as much.
So what's your favorite thing of the game so far?
I love the parkouring.